To order, but before we get into it, Dallas is going to be a few minutes late, and then also Amy Fiffick from the library is going to be here, and she's going to talk. But when we get into new business, we're going to allow her to talk. Is that okay with council?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Mayor, I don't know if we'll need all that time. I don't know if you want to read your report here or.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip out after caucus today.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So if that's okay if I read.
Whatever. So, okay, as always, I'll be looking for a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the first regular meeting dated Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, and accept the prepared by the clerk. Communications, there's one. Mayor's report, Mayor Miller.
Yes. We have a gun lock pickup. The Mahoning County Prosecutor's Office is proud to partner with the Mahoning County Sheriff's Office and the Mahoning County Mental Health and Recovery Board to distribute free gun locks to residents as part of a new community safe initiative. Thanks to Project Child Safe and the Department of Veterans Affairs, these gun locks are available to help reduce gun-related incidents, including suicides and accidental shootings. This is the second, it should say second distribution event, is at 21 West Boardman Street, Thursday, May 29th, 1 to 3 p.m. Each kit includes a cable-style lock and firearm safety guide compatible with most firearms. 4th of July Parade. Registration is officially open for the 48th edition of the Struthers 4th of July Parade. Entry forms can be obtained via email at 4th of July at cityofstruthers.com or from my office. The parade will step off at 12 p.m. as usual on Friday, July 4th. It will be limited to 100 entries with a 2-car unit entry per participating group. We prefer one so we can have a variety in there. There will be no exceptions to that. Once we've reached the magic number, registration will be closed. Entry forms should be submitted early as the lineup will be assigned on a first-come, first-served basis. Requesting a form via email or picking it up from City Hall does not guarantee entry. Absolutely no walk-up entries will be accepted the day of the parade. We are strongly advising any decorating of your group or float entry will need to be done either in your designated lineup spot in the parade or at home to help lessen the amount of people gathering in the plaza near the check-in area. The parade committee thanks you for your anticipated cooperation and understanding. As always, we are looking forward to another great parade. St. Anthony's Day will be held at St. Anthony's Bar at 100 Lowville Road on Saturday, June 14th. No Funk, No Justice will be playing from 7 to 10. There will be a 50-50 and fireworks following the band. Bike helmets. We were excited to partner with Struthers City Schools, the Struthers Police, Fire, and Street Departments, and the Ohio AAP through their Put a Lid on It program. Thanks to their generous donation of bicycle helmets, we were able to provide critical safety resources to children and families in our communities. Together, we are advancing the mission of injury prevention and promoting safe, healthy lifestyles for Ohio's youth. This next one is a big one. Public comments requested for downtown safety study, the Safety Improvements Project. We're inviting the public and stakeholders to view the proposed safety improvements downtown to provide comments. This project was recommended as part of a safety study which revealed several areas for improved safety for motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists. The project will involve an upgraded traffic signal and intersection approach at State Street and Bridge Street, improved pedestrian crossings, bike lanes, curb extensions and bump outs, new pavement markings, new curb ramps, and traffic calming. There will be minor and temporary impacts to utilities and two business drive aprons. The project is tentatively scheduled to be constructed in 26 and is currently estimated at $1 million. We received the grant funding through the Ohio Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program to design and construct this project. Additional public outreach will be provided before construction. Issues to comment may include social, environmental, and economic impacts. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, sex, age, national origin, or disability. Comments, questions, and concerns may be provided using the project website, which is located on our website. Individuals may also contact me at my email, phone number, or by stopping in at 6 Elm Street. This project, this has been a long time coming. We applied for this grant a long time ago when we did the safety study with EDG. We had a downtown stakeholders meeting in my office where probably over 30 people showed up from all of the businesses downtown, because we want to make sure that we are communicating with all the business owners as much and as often as we can so they're aware of what's going on, so they know what's happening, so they're not kind of left in the dark. Renee from EDG and I last week went and met with almost every single business owner. There was a couple that we weren't able to catch up with, but we provided plans, we explained everything that was going on, and we also led them to the website if they have any comments. We actually did pick up a couple of very good suggestions from Brian, but just so you all are aware, we are communicating over the top. We want to make sure they're all on board and they like what's going on and they're aware when this all happens. Okay, City Hall Garden. We would like to thank the Guerrilla Gardening Society of the Mahoning Valley, the Park Department, and the Struthers Stormwater for completing the beautiful garden out front of City Hall. We look forward to the progression of this project. I know it took a while, but everything's planted out front, except for the grass around the edge. St. Nick's Festival. Don't forget the St. Nick's Festival is back with Kids Night on June 18th. The festival runs June 18th through June 21st. And just a reminder, cleanup day is this Saturday. I think that's been on my report for the last couple of weeks. And that is all I have.
Questions or comments towards the mayor, for the mayor? If not, we'll go into a report of standing committees.
Make a motion to have finance and legislation June 4th at 6 o'clock.
Any other committees? If none, legislation, there's 10, 8 are ordinances, the last 2 are resolutions. Questions or comments? Unfinished business. None, new business. Okay, Amy, it's your turn. Amy Fiffick from the Mahoning Valley Library is here to talk to us
Is it okay if she sits here?
and give us an update on things that are going on. We've had a brief discussion last week about some of the things, so Amy's gonna come here and give us an update on things. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, very good. Thank you all very much for allowing me the time to come and talk to you. As I'm sure you have probably heard, we made an announcement over in Poland that the board had voted to explore relocating Poland Library. So we've been trying to be extremely transparent, communicating over the top about why that exploration is necessary, and that process is just kicking off now. It will take some time. We have to present the board with a whole variety of options for them to consider. Nothing happens with major expenditures and construction projects without the board voting to approve it. So I have no doubt that this leads to questions about what other future projects might be in the works and how the changes in Poland might be impact to this. So I just wanted to say that a Struthers library remains, a new Struthers library remains one of our priority projects. That has not changed. We will be going through this relocation investigation into the fall, but at the same time there are several other things happening in the library system. First and foremost is the state budget conversation. I've done a lot of advocacy, as has Michael Stepp, our strategic communications officer, who's here with me tonight, on the importance of the public library fund and remaining robust. That forms half of our budget, and although that is operating dollars, we plan to put dollars from the operating fund into the capital funds, one of which is the building and repair fund, which allows us to do repair and new build projects. So we won't know the ultimate end result of that until the end of June. So June 30th is the deadline for the state budget. Unlike other years, there is discussion about curtailing the public library fund. And so we are working through that process now. Since it does form half of our budget, any changes would, of course, be a significant impact to our ongoing operations. So the budget bill is with the Senate now. We haven't seen the results of we haven't seen their draft budget yet. but we expect it in the next few weeks. They'll go to conference committee, and then that will go, finally be decided and signed by the governor, likely, at the end of June. So that is going on, and that will have a significant impact on any next steps. But also, while all of this is going on as well, we are continuing to work on our strategic facilities master plan. So that project kicked off in November, and it evaluated all of our existing facilities to give us an idea of what repairing, improving, replacing all those facilities would cost. And we are working through that set of recommendations now, in addition to all of the community input we did through that project. And we will be developing, the ultimate end of that project will be a set of priorities for how to invest capital monies over the next 10 years. And we are making lots of assumptions right now about how much money we will have, because we don't know where the state budget is going. But we have a certain amount of money in hand. We are going to use a portion of what we put in over the last 10 years as our estimate. And once that project is approved, then that will show a set of priorities for future projects, Struthers, new Struthers Library being on there. The report is not finished yet, obviously. That has to be presented to the board, so I can tell you that clearly it is something that is still one of our high priorities. So that's a general summary of all the irons we have in the fire at the moment, and I'm happy to take whatever questions you might have.
What are the requirements in order for Struthers to be picked? I know you probably rate the buildings and stuff like that. What do you look at?
As far as can you?
When you say, all right, Struthers is the one you're gonna get picked, how did you come to that decision?
A variety of issues. One, we look at the existing building, which is solidly built. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the Struthers Library, but it is cinder block construction and very difficult to improve and do,
Change
new
the
wiring, and you can't really move walls around in a cinder block building, right? So renovating a building like that would be very expensive. Also, looking at what's surrounding it. Are you able to expand on a lot you already have, right? We also look at usage. While we in Mahoning County have leveled off in our population, there's a lot of potential here in Struthers, not only for existing usage, but with everything this government is doing to improve downtown, and we want to be part of that. And of course, we know that we have a donor who is interested in seeing some land go to the right use. So that's conversation. Back in 2022, I can't believe it's been that long, as far as as part of the downtown plan, we did an exercise to look at what size library we could build if we were actually building on that plot of land. So we are much farther along in any kind of background and planning process with the city of Struthers than we are with any other city in the county.
I just want, just for my own information, is that I just would, as far as the Poland Library goes, those problems were there right from the get-go, right?
Yes, a lot of the problems
that's
that
fine.
we are having problems
The engineering
with
problem
result
and
from
the
building.
construction problems, right from the start. Why did the library system let them continue? I know you probably weren't part of the system, neither were you, but that's a good question to ask. Cause you're telling me what we have to go through to get a new building, and you let that go.
Meaning what exactly?
You let them build an unsafe building.
There were two things. One, I can't tell you exactly how that happened. I wasn't here 30 years ago.
I'm just curious on my own, wondering how that could happen.
Wondering how that could happen. Well, one thing that I do know that I've learned a lot about how things have changed over the last 30 years in the state, and I know that the way things were done back then, even at the state level and oversight, has changed since then. Some of the one of the geotechnical engineers we worked with when we discovered that the open heart slag had not been removed, right? Had said back when the Poland Library was built, it was the responsibility of the contractor to do the oversight for those site improvements and make sure the field tests happen. They realized that that was a conflict, and it would be really easy to do something that
Fudge the numbers.
wasn't
Right.
in the
I
state's
understand
best
that.
interest. The
But the-
responsibility
yeah.
for that now by law falls on the owner, right? So a lot of things
But
have happened.
in the article, they said they knew about it right from the start.
So here's what I know today. Before that building was built, there were core samples taken of the ground because the
Yeah.
the previous library existed on that sample. In those core samples, open heart slag is found. Because we can look at those today, we still have those records. Now, I've seen a whole set of field reports that said the slag was identified among a lot of other unsuitable fill material, that it was recommended for removal, that some was removed. Clearly, it wasn't all removed because it's still there. Was it a miss? Was it deliberate? Was it added in? I can't tell you that answer.
Okay, that's fine, but you still let them build it.
Whoever did, yeah.
Yes. We, and I think the ultimate point is when you hire, as any building owner, when you hire an architect and a contractor, right, you go through a vetting process. As far as I can tell, back then they did everything that was legal and appropriate to hire those people. But when you hire these experts to build these buildings, ultimately you put your trust in these
I
people.
understand that, yeah.
And as a librarian, there's oversight that I can do. For instance, when we did Main Library, we knew it was going to be an enormous project, and it was not going to be a project that any of our people had experience with because of the size of that. So we used the construction manager at risk process, which means that we hired a separate company to manage the project, to have oversight, to hire the subcontractors, and all of the contracts were in place. So, and that project went very well despite a lot of complications that didn't happen until we were in the project, including the pandemic. But ultimately you have to trust the people you hire.
Yeah, I
And,
understand.
and the first question, many people ask, myself included, was do we have any legal recourse in this? But the fact of the matter is it was so long ago that any statute of limitations for any purposeful or inadvertent issues was long past. And so my predecessors of the board would have had to deal with those issues if they had felt it was appropriate.
What do you think the cost of a new building for Poland? You want to move them?
We
Is it 20 million you said?
No, we had 3 estimates, basic fixes of what's wrong, building a new building in a new location, and an estimate to fix as many of the problems of the existing building as possible. The relocation option is $13.1 million, and that doesn't include purchase of land, if that's necessary, or sale of the building and land. So given the problems with the building and our the amount of time it would take to fix that site, as well as our confidence in being able to appropriately remediate it to community standards, we felt that long-term it was a more fiscally responsible option to recommend relocation to the board, especially given that the site is so near water, and there have been many water issues over the years with that building, nothing at the moment, but over the years, and we felt it would be safer and more cost-effective to build a simpler and more manageable building in a new location, because quite frankly, that building is quite large. There was obviously an appetite to make a statement back then, but we only use about half of that square footage for actual library services, because there's the Friends bookstore and the cafe, as well as catwalk, which isn't a programmable space, as the architects would say.
Amy, so with that in mind, how does the Struthers Library stack up against the Poland Library?
And
Who, you know, they got a library 20 years ago, and now they want another one. How's that gonna fit into the calendar against the Struthers Library?
well, like I say, that will be part of the master plan priority process, which we are not done with yet, but we are working on. So we don't have that exact calendar yet. So again, budget plays a big component of it, as well as timing. So we wouldn't be talking about Poland Library if there weren't substantial issues. As we've said to the community, the building remains safe, but there are enough structural issues with that building that it has to be addressed.
So is it gonna affect moving forward faster with the Struthers Library? Is the Struthers Library gonna have to sit another 10 years before, so Poland can get their another new library?
All of us hope that that is not the case, but
Well,
I
we're
can't give,
hoping that too, that's why you're here.
I can't give you that answer tonight. All I can say is, as I said, we are much farther along with any planning process here in this library in Struthers than we have that we are with any other
I think
community.
How
that would
long
be-
has this been in the works? Did you just, sorry to interrupt,
No,
I'm
it's all right,
sorry,
go
but
ahead.
did this just come up?
The
The Poland
Poland
Library, have you guys been
We've
inspecting
been
it for years?
we've been doing this we started this analysis about a year ago.
About a year ago.
Yeah, we had 2 different analyses when it was pointed out
Whatever,
exactly.
whatever is on your agenda before this all happened is gonna be dropped down, correct?
East Library just got awarded. That is another building that we have to do some remediation work on. There's problems with the exterior. So that project was awarded the same day that the board took the Poland vote. So that contract was awarded and kicked off on Friday. So we are doing our best to walk and chew gum at the same time.
I just wanna get my Struthers Library.
I know you do.
Well, when was our Struthers Library built? Do you know exactly?
It was 1965, I believe, and that's one of the reasons which I didn't mention last time. When you asked the question, Struthers and Sebring are the 2 libraries that have not had substantial renovation since they were built. They're our 2 oldest libraries. And quite frankly, I mean, Struthers is a workhorse, right? Cinder block, I swear the building could withstand a nuclear bomb. But it also is very hard to update and provide all of the things that people today expect in a library, including meeting rooms, study rooms, all of those things that we want to be able to provide.
Yeah, and I think that is why we don't have a lot of people. I know you're looking at like how many people go there. I mean, I know I did with my kids when we had story time
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but so I think if we had something aesthetically or something that we definitely for sure would use
Something in
that.
downtown that was walkable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Downtown
Yes,
walkable.
yes,
But-
people love to go to a pretty new library building. There is absolutely no question about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's something in that, and Struthers people kind of tend to stay in the Struthers area.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you definitely would have a lot of people that, you know, and I know a lot of people have been kind of looking forward to when they heard, you know.
Yes.
So this is kind of took a little wind out of sails, I think, you know.
Well, don't get too depressed just yet.
Mhm.
Please, as I say, we are in the final stages of finishing our master plan project, which is really the main thing that we need to do so that we can have a 10-year plan. So we are working as hard as we possibly can to ensure that we are keeping library funding strong, so we have the money to put into the budget. We are doing our best to manage all of the priorities and the demands from across the county, because we do have the whole county to look at, and that's what we're trying to emphasize to everyone. We were not successful in our efforts to get some of the post-pandemic Appalachian funds that we were hoping for Struthers and Sebring, but we're going to, we've been saving our pennies because we know this is a priority.
I'll tell you, Amy and her staff are at every meeting that I go to. They're there trying to talk to the legislators very politely, where I take a little bit more of a pesky approach, but we have been on top of it with our legislators too, so they know where we stand, and they clearly know where they stand, so we're hoping the budget rolls in our favor, but June 30th, I think, is it. So we have our fingers crossed for that.
Absolutely.
So, when you look at these libraries, and to do this determination, and you, on the topic of usage, is it taken into consideration where the people come from that use the Poland Library? You know, because I've always gone to the Poland Library. One reason, it's a beautiful building. It's a big building, so you know it's like, it would seem to me that usage would be biased in that sense, that more people would be going to that building for what it has to offer, as opposed to staying in their own communities. So when they do review this, can you make assurances that when they look into this, that they're going to look into seeing where people come from that actually go to the Poland Library? You know, because you know it's like you put that building anywhere else, and it may be the same thing, that people are going to that building for the purposes of that building. It's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful inside. You know, there's it has, you know, all the draw of, you know, if I've got to go to the library, I'm going to go to that library. You know, so if we had that in Struthers, I'm sure people would feel the same way.
Yes.
You know, so I you know, when it comes to usage and you know, maybe when they're doing their well, look, this Poland Library, it gets all this use. There is a reason. I mean, you know, so why, you know, I guess my point of contention is that why do we have to why are all these resources pulled and put into Poland, as opposed to spreading it around where other communities could benefit in the same way?
Absolutely. Well, and the thing to think about is, yes, we look at usage, that is always a part of the calculation, but more importantly, is the community growing? And I think that's one of the things that we see, you know, with Struthers, is with all of the improvements that you are putting into downtown and really working on attracting businesses, there is a great potential for future growth in this area. So we know that investing in Struthers is a good investment.
Okay, but I guess my question is, can you make sure that when it comes to usage, that is taken into consideration? You know, why are people using the Poland Library, and where are they coming from?
How many actually are from
You know,
Poland?
as opposed to all these people are going to the Poland Library. You know, it's like their use. You know, it's like it makes sense that we put the money into that, as opposed to, you know, looking into it and saying, well, hey, you got so many people coming from Struthers that if they had a beautiful library in Struthers, they're not going to go to Poland. They're going to stay in Struthers.
Well, and it's not a matter of either or. It's a matter of investing in the entire community. And trust me when I tell you, if we weren't having major building issues at this building, this is the last conversation I would want to be having right now.
Yeah,
Trust me.
it's still considered a safe building,
It
right?
is still considered a safe building, but the fact of the matter is the investigation of the building and why the problems existed started with the movement of the floor. Literally, the floor on the lower level is heaving up in spots and is not even. And that investigation as to what was happening and why, with cracking in the building and all of the other issues that we shared as we did the tour recently, mean that while it is safe, we have to make sure that it is also accessible. Right, these are problems that have to be dealt with. I liken it to having two cars. You have one car that's working good, but it's old, it's showing its years, you're getting ready to repair it, and your newer, prettier car all of a sudden develops a serious engine problem.
So is it a liability for you now?
Yes, it could be, and that's what we have to protect against. We have to protect against it becoming a liability. You know, this is not an enviable position to be in. We're making plans, we have diagrams, we've done grant programs, we've worked really hard to try to get to this point, and now we have a serious building issue that we can't ignore. It is not where I want to be. Trust me when I tell you it is not where we want to be, but we have to look at all of our facilities and make sure that we are building for the future as well as dealing with immediate issues.
But also I have a question. So Poland's had these issues since it was built. So how come nothing has been taken care of like 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 25 years ago when all these problems were starting?
Well, quite frankly, it was about a year ago, about 14 months ago, when we realized that there were serious problems. We were not aware of the open hearth slag 2 years ago, right? We only became aware of it when literally the floor started lifting up in big humps on the ground level. And there was cracking in the historic building that was wrapped around it. And quite literally, I can tell you, our facilities manager, Dave Foster, I had asked him to do an evaluation because we had budgeted only for exterior painting. And I asked him to do that evaluation so we could tell Poland Village what was going to be repaired before the building was painted, and he said, somebody other than me needs to take a look at this building because there are problems, right? That was when we knew exactly what the floor issue was. We had no idea before then. We had no idea that there was any issue with slag, and we don't quite frankly know why it started happening, because that was our first question. When the geotechnical engineers came to us and said that open hearth slag was a possibility, like, why now? The building's been there for over 20 years. And they told us that any change in water or air can cause the slag to blossom and push up. And so something underground changed. We don't know why, but we're like, the building was built like 20 feet from a creek.
So did it affect the foundation of the building?
So the footers for the foundation are set into bedrock. The floor is a slab on grade floor. Oh, I'm glad I remembered that. And it more or less floats on the ground, and then is connected to the foundations. So the foundations themselves are not impacted as long as there isn't slag around those footers and foundations. The building is structurally sound, but that floor is being pressed up. And so the fact is, the way to remediate that is to demolish the floor and dig at least 5 feet down and at least 5 feet on either side. It's an enormous project, regardless of the cost. It's an enormous project and hugely impactful. And the fact is, it's exploratory because the bedrock underneath is not solid, right? I mean, it's not even, right? It goes to different depths. So until you start digging, you don't know exactly how much digging you have to do.
And that's what they're saying, you have to take the whole floating floor down the bedrock as well?
Yeah. Well, they said you want to dig at least 5 feet down and 5 feet out, and then it should minimize your risk. But to be absolutely sure you need to dig it all out,
Sure.
which is what we would prefer to do if we were going to
Yeah, if you're
embark
gonna-
on that project.
Yeah.
Because we would not want to invest a bunch of money into a building
A Band-Aid.
to have this happen.
Yes.
I guess the building is usable.
The building is usable,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yes, but it is not, You know, we care very much about buildings being accessible, about buildings being safe, about, being able to
Well,
accommodate
that's kind of the
all kinds
liability you have now, because people are still visiting that place.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
if
so,
something
and
happens.
I asked you, and you said the building was safe. The building is usable.
The building is structurally sound.
Okay.
But given the fact that we have this level of uncertainty and risk, it is not, we don't wanna rely on that being true in the long term.
Well, I mean, it's always something that you can monitor as you go. I mean, I've got an aneurysm that I have to monitor all the time. You know, it's not like they're gonna go in and fix it now. You know, I mean, I look at this as being very similar in that respect, in that it's something, okay, we got a problem here, but let's keep an eye on it. And, you know, to go through the drastic measure of, oh, well, we need a new building because the floor is heaving up. You know, it's like, how many houses have basement floors that heave up because of, you know, for whatever reason that they're sitting on. You know, I don't know, I guess that's.
I mean, listen, I agree, I want a new library as bad as anybody, right?
Right.
And I agree with that, however, I definitely understand their position because this is their asset.
Right.
There are substantial issues moving forward that they are going to have to spend money on, and I guess they're just being fiscally responsible by saying, we have this asset that potentially needs investment. It would be fiscally irresponsible for us to go spend all of this money and leave this asset basically sitting wide open with potential
I think
that
they're
it needs
obligated
repair.
to it now.
I do as well.
It's not
Because-
gonna get any better.
We can't, as council, can't fix anything that we don't know anything about.
No,
But once we know it, we have to fix it.
correct, and at this point too, with them, this is their asset and their investment.
Well, yeah, well.
So they can't leave it bare by saying, we're gonna invest over here and see what happens with this. It needs fixed.
So you had relocation for 13.1, what, did you get like a price for renovation or how much that would cost to fix that issue also? Cause you said relocation was 13.1 million.
Yeah, so the
Do it all.
fix just what's broken
Mhm.
is $8 million.
Okay,
And then you're gonna, Amy, though, you would offset the cost of the new building with the sale of the old building. So have you guys appropriated a price of what you think you would get out of the old building?
that is all the process we are literally just starting now.
So, I mean, thinking about it that way, the $8 million fix versus $13 million for new, plus you're gonna offset that with the sale of the old one. It would seem to anybody that you're probably better off rebuilding than.
Wouldn't
I
you
mean,
have to fix that
we would
building
all say
to
the
sell
same
it though?
thing.
liabilities.
No, not necessarily.
No?
Who's gonna wanna buy that building
Yeah,
and put $8
exactly.
million in it?
Yeah, right.
Well, that's all the process
Somebody
that
who-
we are literally just
And
embarking on.
obviously-
Somebody who could do it a lot cheaper than $8 million.
Exactly, but
Well, it
you
all,
have,
I mean,
you have to
sure.
disclose it to them
I'm-
what's going on.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, somebody who has
How
the
hard is it to sell a
capability
house if you disclose something that expensive, Dale?
not hard if you're selling it to somebody who can fix it.
Yeah, come on, we're talking millions.
Yeah.
Sure, you're talking millions if you're hiring a company. If
Millions.
you own that company, you're
Millions.
not talking millions.
Sure you are.
Yeah, I think, I agree with Dallas on this, but I mean, I'm just, because you know what you
Yeah, I
can
mean,
do.
If you own a company, I mean, if it's gonna cost you $8 million, I mean, you're not gonna get a $7.8 million discount if you can do it yourself.
sure you're not.
So it's gonna
Sure.
cost millions of dollars to do it yet.
And there's somebody out there, I'm sure, to pay that.
Sure. I got it.
Amy, I have a question. There was talk in the news about relocating one of the schools, was it that I heard? Where's that?
Well, that was a temporary thing, right?
because we, presented all three options to the board, relocate, repair, or.
Build.
Or a major renovation. The other two options would have involved the library moving out to temporary quarters while the renovation of the existing building happened. So that's not what the direction the board ultimately gave us. So basically, we're starting from scratch. So I'm sure, we'll be talking to the superintendent again about existing facilities and all of those things as we pursue options for the board to consider.
And I think we, like Della said earlier, you have to protect your asset. And I think we want you to know that we see our Struthers community as an asset too.
No,
And
absolutely.
everything we're doing, so we want you to protect us too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
And we've been patient. Don't,
Yes, you
don't
have.
take us off the list, you know what I mean? Make sure that,
We're,
you
no,
know, if it's gonna be a few years, we've
For
been
years.
patient, we'll just make sure, we wanna know that ours is coming too, that's all.
yes, yours is coming too, and it is not being taken off the list, I can tell you that for sure. And once the master plan is out, we'll be able to give you more
Would you
more
say that was,
information.
Amy, when's the master plan gonna be done?
We are looking at towards the end of July.
Now, does the, donation of property play a big factor? Because I think the longer you wait, they may wanna sell it later down the line.
We're in good relations with, but there's 2 parcels there. and
Yeah, I
we're-
know.
They've been, I just talked to one of them recently.
How long are they willing to wait though?
I
That's
think
the
they're
thing.
willing to wait, cause they're not doing anything with the
Okay.
property now. They've had a couple different options to sell,
Okay,
When-
folks, we gotta
and I'm
wrap
holding
this,
them to their word.
we gotta wrap this up, we're getting close to 7 o'clock,
Yeah,
okay?
we are.
Amy, if you're welcome to come out there, if you think you don't have any more to add, whatever you wanna do, you're welcome to stay. But we gotta wrap this up, cause we gotta be on the floor in about 4 minutes.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank you
AJ.
so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Amy,
you.
for all your.
And I will be happy to come back in the future to give you more information
Awesome.
when I have it to give you.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, report of our law director, John, do you have anything for council?
No.
Questions, comments for our law director? Auditor's not here, is there anything on behalf of the safety director?
No, but I will tell you, Billy and I met with John, last week to go over how we're gonna handle the process, with some of the new legislation coming out with the administrative fines. So we had a meeting to go over that, how it's gonna
Gotcha.
move forward, just so you're aware.
Is there any issues with it? Okay.
Any questions need to go to the mayor on behalf of the safety director? Not? Motion adjourned?
Make a motion.
Motion adjourned.
Second?